The WA Emergency Management Framework contains 4 main components. These are the Hazard Management Structure, the Committee Structure, the Operations Management Structure, the Recovery Management Structure. All of these components work collectively to help better prevent, plan, prepare, respond and recover from emergencies that face the Western Australian community. The hazard management structure is comprised of 4 complementary groups. These are the hazard management agencies, the controlling agencies, the combat agencies, and the support organisations. The hazard management agencies are given ultimate responsibility of a particular hazard through the Emergency Management Act of 2005. For example, the Department of Fire and Emergency Services is responsible for floods, cyclones and earthquakes, to name a few. Although the Hazard Management Agency has ultimate responsibility for the planning and preparation of an emergency, they may not be involved in combating the hazard. The controlling agency coordinates the response to the hazard. This may or may not be the hazard management agency, depending on the circumstance, as another agency may have specialised knowledge, expertise or resources for the role of controlling agency. Combat agencies are those who are directly involved with suppressing and resolving the hazard. Here are a few examples. Support organisations are those whose response in an emergency is either to restore essential services or to provide support functions such as welfare, medical and health, transport, communications or engineering, which help to alleviate the effects of the hazard. While they may not be directly involved in combating the hazard, they perform an essential role in protecting life, property and the environment. So, how does all this look in action? For example, a train hits a truck at a level crossing on a rail freight line just out of Geraldton. Injuries are sustained by the truck driver. The hazard management agency for this emergency is Brookfield Rail. However, they contact the WA Police as they are better positioned to control this particular hazard. The WA Police then become the controlling agency. The WA Police then notified the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, who assigned the Career Fire and Rescue Service the responsibility to combat this hazard, along with Brookfield Rail. The Fire and Rescue Service will then work on the ground with the WA Police and Brookfield Rail to resolve the situation. St John Ambulance is notified that there is an injured passenger, and they then dispatch an ambulance for pickup. The Salvation Army offer catering services to support the combat agencies, and the Health Department support the injured driver once he is transported to the nearest hospital. The committee structure is a collection of advisory committees who look at emergencies from a prevention and preparedness perspective. These committees are also broken up into state, district and local levels. The State Emergency Management Committee is the peak emergency management body for Western Australia. They are responsible for providing advice to the Minister for Emergency Services and on the preparedness of the state to combat emergencies in Western Australia. The members of this committee are all representatives appointed by the Minister that are essential to the state's emergency management arrangements. Other roles include providing direction to industry, developing community-wide information, and monitoring and reviewing the Emergency Management Act and its regulations. To assist the State Emergency Management Committee to execute its functions under the Emergency Management Act, the state is divided into 14 emergency management districts. Each one of these districts has a District Emergency Management Committee. The District Emergency Management Committees are established to plan and prepare for emergencies and to support the local emergency management committees within their emergency management district. Local governments are required to establish one or more local emergency management committees to carry out planning for emergencies at a local level. Local governments do have the option of uniting with adjacent local governments under the Emergency Management Act. The purpose of the local emergency management committees are to advise and assist local government in ensuring that local emergency management arrangements are established and to test and review these local arrangements annually. Emergency operations in Western Australia are based on the principle of graduated response. This principle identifies that the responsibility for resourcing and responding to an emergency initially rests at a local level. When an emergency requires resources beyond the local capability, support from the district and then state may be obtained. In Western Australia, during an emergency there is generally more than one agency involved in the response. When multiple agencies are involved in an emergency, there is a need for a suitable multi-agency support structure to ensure a coordinated response. Using the principle of graduated response, the following operations structure provides for this coordinated approach. The operations management structure consists of 4 tiers of multi-agency groups that support the hazard management agency and/or the controlling agency in managing the response to the emergency. At a local level, an incident support group may be established to support the hazard management and controlling agencies. The incident support group is chaired by the hazard management agency and is made up of the local emergency coordinator, agency and local government liaison, and community stakeholders. There is a direct liaison with the incident management team who is controlling and combating the emergency within the incident area. The Operational Area Support Group consists of the Operational Area Manager, the District Emergency Coordinator, and representatives of agencies and organisations involved in the response. The operational area is when there is more than one incident occurring within Western Australia. At a state level, the State Emergency Coordination Group may be established to assist in the provision of a coordinated multi-agency response to the emergency. The State Emergency Coordination Group representation should be at a state level from key agencies involved in the response and recovery from the emergency. This group is chaired by the State Emergency Coordinator, who is the Commissioner of Police. The State Emergency Coordination Group provides support and assistance to the hazard management and controlling agencies through the State Controller and Operational Control. Should the emergency reach a level that a declaration of a state of emergency occurs under the Emergency Management Act, a group known as the State Disaster Council may be brought together by the State Premier to provide advice to the State Emergency Coordination Group, the state government, and liaise with the state and Australian governments. The Emergency Management Act assigns the responsibility to manage recovery following an emergency to local government. The local government must appoint a local recovery coordinator and establish and chair a local recovery coordinating committee to manage the recovery for their community. To support local recovery efforts, a State Recovery Committee can be formed. This committee is chaired by the Department of Premier and Cabinet and consists of agencies directly involved in recovery, such as Australian and state government agencies, local government, non-government organisations and other relevant supporting organisations.